There are few individuals in the 20th century who evoke as much grit and enigma as Gregory Rasputin, the Russian mystic whose role in the downfall of the tsars cannot be overstated. Rasputin's actions in both life and death have been greatly exaggerated, but amidst the myths, there are equally unbelievable truths. He is best known for his extraordinary survival of cyanide poisoning and multiple gunshot wounds. Rasputin was born on January 22, 1869, in Siberia. Out of his 7 siblings, he was the only one who survived beyond childhood. Little is known about his early life, leading many to speculate about tales of debauchery and criminal activities that add to his mystique. However, his rather ordinary existence took a significant turn when, in 1897, Rasputin developed a fascination with religion and embarked on several pilgrimages. Some believe this was a result of him fleeing from his involvement in a horse theft crime, while others attributed it to his visions of religious figures, including the Virgin Mary. Regardless of the true reason, Rasputin was willing to abandon his wife, children, and previous life in pursuit of his spiritual goals. After his pilgrimages to Fairfield, Mount Athos in Greece, and Jerusalem, Rasputin returned home transformed. He became a vegetarian, completely sober, and deeply devout. He constantly sang religious hymns and engaged in fervent prayer. By the early 1900s, Rasputin had gathered a small group of devoted followers who would join him in secret congregations held in a makeshift chapel. These gatherings were met with suspicion, and lurid rumors quickly spread about Rasputin's preaching. It was rumored that his female devotees would ritually wash him before each meeting, that they chanted peculiar hymns learned from his esoteric pilgrimages, and that Rasputin himself was a member of the Kalisti, a religious sect that had broken away from the Russian Orthodox Church. The Kalisti renounced the worship of sins, rejected the priesthood, and emphasized direct communication with the Holy Spirit, venerating individual leaders who possessed such communication abilities. The sect was also associated with self-flagellation and sexual rituals as part of their worship. However, it is more likely that Rasputin was merely inspired by the methods of the Kalisti, with the authorities suspecting a connection due to their similar approaches. Rasputin's reputation and pilgrimages eventually brought him to St. Petersburg in 1903. The elites, both religious and political, were fascinated by mysticism and the occult, making Rasputin a captivating figure. Rumors of his healing powers attracted significant interest, and the stark contrast between the opulence of the Russian upper class and the disheveled appearance of the holy man only added to the air of mystery surrounding him. It didn't take long for Rasputin to establish himself within the Russian royal family. In 1908, he was summoned to the palace to treat the young Prince Alexei, who suffered from hemophilia, a disease prevalent among European royal families due to Queen Victoria's lineage. Initially, the prince's illness was kept a state secret, and he was constantly monitored to prevent any injuries that could lead to fatal bleeding. In 1907, Alexei experienced a severe fall that caused internal bleeding in his leg. Conventional treatments proved ineffective, prompting Empress Alexandra to seek Rasputin's help. Rasputin prayed over the bedridden prince, and assured him that his pain would subside and he would soon recover. To everyone's surprise, Alexei began a strong recovery, with the swelling around his leg diminishing and his overall mood improving. This incident served as proof of Rasputin's supposed healing powers, and he quickly became a permanent fixture in the Romanov royal court. Rasputin's influence extended beyond the realm of healing and began to encompass the very governance of the Russian Empire. The royal family placed complete faith in his abilities and admired him, granting him great influence in St. Petersburg. Rasputin exploited his newfound power, accepting numerous bribes and demanding sexual favors from his admirers, reveling in the decadence afforded to the Russian elite. However, his rise to prominence drew opposition from the Russian Orthodox Church, which accused him of heresy and engaging in illicit affairs with numerous women. Moreover, the extent of Rasputin's control over the royal family raised concerns, with him often portrayed as a puppeteer manipulating the highest levels of power. The situation escalated during World War I when Tsar Nicholas II left the capital in August 1915 to assume command of the Russian armed forces, leaving Empress Alexandra, and by extension, Rasputin, in charge of governing the empire. Alexandra, envisioning herself as a modern Catherine the Great, allowed Rasputin to appoint loyalists to key positions of authority. Ministers were hired and dismissed at Rasputin's discretion, depending on their willingness to submit to his authority. As the war progressed, allegations began to circulate that Rasputin was working as a German agent, even being blamed for a cholera epidemic in St. Petersburg that supposedly resulted from poisoned apples imported from Canada. These allegations were fueled by Alexandra's German heritage. The growing rift between Rasputin's actual role and the public's perception of him exacerbated the belief that he needed to be eliminated. In an effort to remove his influence from the court, a group of nobles conspired to assassinate the Mad Monk, led by Prince Felix Yusupov, Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, and Vladimir Purishkevich. The conspirators believed that Rasputin's control over Tsarina Alexandra posed a grave threat to the Russian Empire. In December 1916, they devised a plan to lure Rasputin to Yusupov's palace for a gathering. Yusupov, who was married to Tsar Nicholas II's niece but did not participate in the war, sought to present himself as a patriot by eliminating Rasputin. The details of Rasputin's death remain shrouded in myth, but according to Yusupov's memoirs, the events unfolded as follows. Rasputin was invited to the palace under the pretext of meeting Yusupov's wife. He was served a platter of cakes and copious amounts of Madeira wine, all of which were poisoned with potassium cyanide. Despite consuming such a lethal dose of poison, Rasputin appeared unaffected. Surprised by his resilience, Yusupov excused himself and retrieved a revolver belonging to Grand Duke Dmitry. When he returned, Yusupov asked Rasputin to look at a crucifix and say a prayer before shooting him multiple times, believing him to be dead. Thinking Rasputin was lifeless, Yusupov and his co-conspirators left the corpse where it fell. One of the conspirators took Rasputin's clothing and left the palace, aiming to create the illusion that Rasputin had departed unharmed. However, when Yusupov returned to verify Rasputin's demise, the supposedly dead monk suddenly lunged at him and engaged in a fistfight. Startled, Yusupov fled through the palace with Rasputin in pursuit. Finally, in the palace's courtyard, Rasputin was shot again and seemingly met his end. The assassins then wrapped his lifeless body in cloth and transported it to the Petrovsky Bridge, where it was discarded into the Malaya Nevka River below. Even after Rasputin's alleged death, there were reports of sightings where he was seen struggling to keep his head above the water, clinging to the ice. Yusupov described Rasputin's refusal to die as something diabolical, suggesting that evil forces resurrected him. However, the autopsy conducted on Rasputin's body revealed that he died from 3 gunshot wounds, one of which was to the head. Some argue that Rasputin's aversion to sweet foods is evidence that he would never have consumed the poisoned cakes. Furthermore, the autopsy report did not mention poison as a cause of death. When Rasputin's body was discovered several days later, it appeared to have been severely beaten, likely due to collisions with ice and rocks in the river. The presence of water in his lungs suggested that drowning might have played a role in his demise. Even after his death, Rasputin's character continues to inspire legends and mysticism, with media often portraying him as a deviant sorcerer or the epitome of evil. His story has been featured in various works such as Hellboy Kingsman, and even the children's film, Anastasia. The song by Boney M. further emphasizes his infamous reputation. While rumors surrounding Rasputin's death may have been exaggerated, there is no denying the role he played in shaping Russian history. His larger-than-life persona and enigmatic influence continue to captivate minds, blurring the lines between truth and myth. However, attributing all of the turmoil of the time solely to a lone mad monk seems unlikely. Rasputin's life, death, and legacy are a complex blend of reality and fiction, where almost any extraordinary claim could be ascribed to his alleged powers.